Good morning, and welcome everyone, from wherever you may be participating. The Fall Community Forum is an important tradition for the university community for a number of reasons. It allows us to get updated on activities and initiatives that were worked on throughout the summer months. It gives us a chance to talk about the immediate future and details to get the new academic year started, and to take the longer view on priorities for the year ahead and beyond. This year, perhaps more than ever, the forum gathers us to reconnect with one another, which is especially poignant after so many months apart. And so I thank those of you who were able to make it here in person. Because my remarks are focused on strategic initiatives at different stages of development, I have invited three of our colleagues to update us on specific topics related to adapting to the COVID-19 world. After my comments, Tom Tolbert, Director of Information Technology, will provide examples of new technology platforms that will facilitate our work this year and for the foreseeable future. Andrew Pollum, Dean of Student Affairs, will provide an overview of the safety protocols to which our students are committed and to which we must also commit ourselves. And Rachel Burleson, Director of Athletics, will describe how the athletics department is planning to engage students this fall and talk about what the spring semester might look like. As is also part of our Fall Community Forum tradition, Dawn Broussard, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management, will recognize colleagues for their years of service. And finally, we will all gather, socially distanced of course, for a group photo opportunity on the Manor lawn, and then invite you to visit a few spaces on campus that are arranged for socially distanced teaching and learning. As you are well aware, because you have been involved in multiple ways, we have been hard at work preparing for a year unlike any other in history. All summer, staff and faculty collaborated on a range of plans to establish the necessary protocols to create an ongoing, safe, and healthy environment, to adopt new teaching and learning technologies, and to imagine new ways to engage with students and one another, and to think about how to best conduct the daily business of the university in a hybrid work environment. It is no exaggeration to say that our topics of conversation and planning this summer were at times surreal, but always purposeful and productive. Thank you again to the conveners and members of our 4 Recovery, Reinvention, and Renewal working groups for your tireless and imaginative efforts to bring us back to our centers and to the Rindge campus. Special thanks to University Communications for aggregating and publishing information we all need to proceed in safe and effective ways. And special thanks to the Fitzwater Center team for their excellent productions this summer, especially the virtual commencement ceremony. Really, every office or unit at this university has had a hand in the preparations to bring us back together as an educational community. And what an undertaking. I am truly proud of and grateful for your endless patience and efforts, and I thank everyone. And although responding to the impact of the pandemic on every aspect of university life consumed much of our time and attention since March, we also had to sustain the work typically undertaken in the summer to energize and maintain our momentum into a new year. So I would like to pull forward from the spring some major institutional initiatives that continued to evolve and which will expand as priorities in the year ahead and beyond, all of which are tied to our new strategic plan, Pierce at 60, named to commemorate in 2022 the 60th anniversary of our founding. I really cannot overstate the centrality of an institutional strategic plan to our future successes. A well-conceived and executed plan is more than a roadmap. It offers new, unexamined horizons and destinations, and ultimately motivation for ongoing exploration and subsequent journeys. In this higher education context, with still unknown and unimagined challenges, we must resolve to have unifying directions and aspirations. In 2 years, when Franklin Pierce University turns 60, we intend to celebrate. We won't just be celebrating an anniversary of our founding. We will be celebrating all of the progress we are going to make that will move us to new levels of excellence and distinction. In June, Strategic Plan Chair Ken Ferreira provided an overview of the new plan, and I want to return to it now to add details to start the academic year. We will publish the plan on eRaven soon. So the plan, Pierce at 60, has 4 overarching goals, and I'm not going to address all of them, but I do want to at least state them. The 4 goals are securing our financial future, optimizing enrollment market and net revenue, innovation, and living the Franklin Pierce University experience. I will focus on these last 2 goals this morning, innovation and living the Franklin Pierce experience. I believe that if we successfully pursue the objectives of these 2 goals, we can and we will transform the university. We will transform how the university functions, what a Franklin Pierce education is known for, and how we live and work together as a community. So first, I'll talk about innovation. And in the plan, innovation really speaks to 2 types of work and initiatives: innovation in program development and innovation in teaching and learning. Academic and co-curricular programs are the lifeblood of any college or university. The programs we offer must resonate with prospective graduate and undergraduate students. This is certainly true to generate enrollment. And our program's scrutiny and evaluation by students is not just on what we offer, but how and how well we offer it to secure retention and certainly to get our students to graduation. We always talk about the accelerated pace of change in the world and how higher ed is not typically heralded for its capacity to adapt at the same speed. Yet, when the need to adapt arose abruptly in March with an unprecedented urgency, change we did. We have new knowledge about what we as an industry and what we at Franklin Pierce can accomplish when necessary. And I believe that necessity, that urgency, is here with us to stay. The strategic plan asks us to harness the collective creativity and expertise of our faculty and other higher education professionals to both support and challenge how faculty engage with and instruct students, and how students today and in the future prefer to learn. When we talk about innovation and program development, the goal objectives tell us we must maintain program currency and viability. We must directly connect academic programs with relevant career development options. And we must identify 4-year undergraduate degrees to streamline into 3-year degrees in order to deliver on the acceleration students seek. Let me provide a specific example of program development innovation at Franklin Pierce. Under the leadership of College of Health and Natural Sciences Dean Maria Altabello and Goodyear, Arizona DPT Director Letha Zook, and based on extensive research, Franklin Pierce launched its plan to develop a new 2-year accelerated Doctor of Physical Therapy program in Arizona. And we're calling it the Flex Immersion Model. Our current DPT model is a 27-month program. Our graduate students are full-time, and instruction is face-to-face on the ground. So, what's different about a Flex Immersion model? Well, in the first year of the program, students will complete their coursework online. Learning is then further reinforced through intensive, on-the-ground laboratory immersions. So it's very much a hybrid model. And in the second year of study, there is ongoing online and in-person coursework. There's also a rigorous full-time clinical education component with specialized experiences with prospective employers. By introducing this Flex Immersion DPT degree, Goodyear will be one of the few DPT programs in the country to offer this flexible teaching and learning hybrid model. This will be extremely appealing to future graduate students. As for the expected outcomes, we will bring in a new cohort of 36 students in the fall of 2021, 1 year from now, thereby doubling the full-time DPT grad students in Arizona. As mentioned in a Zoom forum this spring, the expansion of our excellent reputation in the Masters of Physician Assistant Studies world is also underway at our Goodyear, Arizona Center. We received the go-ahead from the accrediting agency last year to begin the program development process, and we've now taken the next step by hiring the program director who will join us in Goodyear, Arizona in early September. Our goal is to bring in a cohort of 36 students in the fall of 2022. And with the expansion of these two graduate programs in Goodyear, we may also need to expand our square footage adjacent to the space we currently occupy. And so those discussions are underway with the City of Goodyear. Another innovation in program development involves the Right Mix Committee. This is a committee convened by Provost Sterrett with the Academic Senate last spring. And this committee was charged with developing a process for determining the right mix of undergraduate and graduate academic programs. This group is working on, among other ideas, processes for developing and launching new academic programs, ideas for new partnerships and new delivery options, and broadening opportunities for experiential learning. This analysis of the university's academic portfolio is critical for building out a contemporary and relevant curriculum with efficient and effective delivery models to continue to generate student interest in earning their degrees at Franklin Pierce. The Right Mix Committee is finalizing its proposals and recommendations and will present its report to the Provost and Academic Senate early this semester. The other dimension of innovation in the strategic plan is around teaching and learning. And objectives for this goal include the opportunity to develop and establish online portfolios for all students, the opportunity to conduct a comprehensive review of the general education program, and to establish a Center for Teaching and Learning, or a CTL. The CTL will provide programming for all faculty, graduate and undergraduate, to explore new teaching deliveries and methodologies, to plan forums to share ideas and learn from one another, and to offer training for faculty in emerging classroom practices. By establishing the space and programming that is associated with a CTL, it will allow our faculty to stay current with innovations in higher education and with evolving expectations of all students. It will allow us to take instruction from great to greater. And I share these concepts with you so you can imagine the quality of the Franklin Pierce experience for students when the faculty accomplish these innovation goals and objectives from our new strategic plan. Successfully pursuing the strategic plan's Living the Franklin Pierce University Experience goal will also impact our work and lives together in profound ways. It's relatively unusual for a university strategic plan to have a goal focused on its people, on its sense of and pride in its community. This goal is really an effort to examine the Franklin Pierce experience from a number of perspectives and to honor the people that choose to be educated here, our current and future students and our alumni, and to honor those who choose to dedicate their professional lives to this university, our faculty and staff, and to honor those who choose to give of themselves for the greater benefit of the institution, trustees, friends, and donors. The main objectives of this goal are interdependent and far-reaching. They are, first, to engage and nurture all opportunities for diversity, equity, and inclusion, to optimize avenues for sustainability, to enhance communication, cooperation, and sense of community, and finally, to expand the university's visibility and presence in our larger communities. So much good work is happening in each of these areas, but today I will focus on the first stated objective regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. When the university set out well over a year ago to develop a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement, it started the process of reframing our perspectives and conversations. First, by articulating our values, leading with the intrinsic worth of every individual, and by affirming diversity, race, gender, religion, disability, sexual identity, neurodiversity, and other traditionally marginalized groups and voices as assets, as enrichments to the Franklin Pierce community, as those aspects of our university that we not only hold dear, but that we need to more overtly and intentionally incorporate into our policies, practices, and appreciation of community. Only then will Franklin Pierce be elevated to the new level of institutional excellence we are capable of. One firm step forward in the strategic plan is the creation and staffing of an Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Thanks to the incredible commitment of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, which is serving as the search committee for the Chief Diversity Officer position, I can report significant progress. But first, let me say a little bit about the position. The Chief Diversity Officer, the CDO, will be a member of the senior staff and will report to me. This individual will become the co-chair of the university's strategic plan. This individual will be responsible for assessment, review, and development of policies and practices as they pertain to DEI. And this person will develop educational programs and resources to strengthen the inclusivity of our teaching, learning, and working environments. The scope of this position will touch all aspects of the university. Over 50 applicants throughout the nation have applied for this position, and in the weeks ahead, the search committee will Zoom with a short list of candidates. Finalists will be invited to campus for further interviews and to present to members of the university community. Recommendations will then be submitted to me, and our goal is to have our first Chief Diversity Officer in place by early October. Other diversity, equity, and inclusion objectives are also underway. Faculty are currently working on a curriculum mapping project. This is designed to look at all Franklin Pierce courses to understand where in the curriculum multiple and diverse perspectives occur. And this mapping will also provide a foundation for future conversations on how the university introduces diverse voices and perspectives into the learning process and into the curriculum. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council is developing a non-academic audit. In partnership with consultant James McKim, CEO of a company, Organizational Ignition, and president of the Manchester NAACP, this audit project intends to gather data on Franklin Pierce University staff, faculty, and student knowledge and desires around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then we'll make recommendations on how to improve a range of dimensions at Franklin Pierce to improve organizational performance and increase stakeholder satisfaction. So just a note here about that process. The council anticipates sending surveys out in September, and our responses are really important to better understanding our work, perceptions, and growth opportunities. This survey data and analysis will assist the CDO in the development of strategic plans for the new office and the work ahead. So it is really important that when we hear from the council, we respond to their requests either for interviews or to complete the survey. There are other related initiatives. There's the creation of a diversity, equity, and inclusion website that is underway. And with the energy and support of Alana alumni, the establishment of Alana networking, fundraising, and scholarship opportunities are also under discussion and development. So as I said, I selected these examples of initiatives underway through our strategic planning process because I want to raise awareness of all of the energy and commitment being poured into strengthening the university despite and because of the challenges presented by the pandemic. And I also firmly believe these commitments, and certainly others not fully described or discussed today, will elevate Franklin Pierce to unprecedented levels of institutional excellence, reputation, and community. And finally, after almost 6 months of separation from one another and our centers and campus, we will welcome in the days ahead over 300 full-time graduate students to Lebanon, Manchester, and Goodyear this fall, almost 400 freshmen to Ringe, along with another 900 or so returning Ringe students, and another approximately 300 online students. So our enrollment projections right now are somewhere between 18 and 1900, and we'll know that at census. We have tried to think of everything to accommodate our return to university life, knowing we will encounter unexpected circumstances. But we are a community that prides itself on its adaptability, its resilience, and its care for one another. These are qualities that we will surely draw from in the days ahead. As there may be little in the weeks ahead that feel familiar or easy, and that will be true for us as well as for our students. So please, we need to remember the importance of self-care. We need to take care of ourselves as we offer our full support to our students. They will be looking to us for guidance, and I know how committed you all are to offering it. But we must remain mindful of our needs and our well-being so we can really be there for our students. I thank you for your attention, and I now want to turn the mic over to the three people who will provide updates on what we can expect in the areas of new technology, safety protocols, and athletics. Thank you.
Greetings, and thank you, President Mooney, for inviting me to summarize some of the changes we've been implementing in the IT department over the summer in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these upgrades and enhancements have been done to increase flexibility and foster safety for staff, faculty, and students. The first of these major upgrades is the installation of a technically advanced camera cart in each of the 50 or so classrooms on the Rindge campus and in classrooms in Manchester, Lebanon, and Goodyear. Each cart consists of a 120-degree angle poly camera and a 50-inch monitor. The camera is integrated with the computer and the projector in each classroom, as well as Zoom, which will allow the faculty not only to teach in front of live students, but also include students who are unable to physically attend class. Those students will be able to connect into Zoom and actively participate in the lecture and discussions synchronously, all in real time. To better support the carts, the IT department will be moving staff out of the DiPietro basement and embedding them in Marcasella and Petrocelli to help the faculty during the class time. I wanted to give a shout out to Cheryl Blevins and Bill Venn, who are the driving forces in coordinating the setup of the classrooms, as well as configuring the Zoom rooms and the Zoom accounts for faculty. The logistics of setting up the equipment in an endless variety of classrooms, many that are new for this semester, was a significant achievement. I also want to thank Sarah D'Angelo Antonio and Frank Cohen for working with IT to design the training for staff and faculty. This is new technology that came out less than a year ago, but has proved to be impressive and puts Franklin Pierce in a good position as we look to create new programs and courses in the future. Another new offering is student access to virtual labs that are hosted in the cloud. Traditional computer labs are difficult to keep sanitized and don't guarantee social distancing. By logging in over the internet to these virtual labs, students with any type of computer, Mac, PC, or Chromebook, will be able to access software such as SPSS, ArcGIS, and Adobe, which in the past years have been loaded on the computers in the labs. We plan to have 120 virtual computers with 20 set aside specifically for the graphic-intensive Adobe apps. The labs will be available 24/7 from anywhere on or off campus over the internet to any Franklin Pierce student. These systems improvements will give students better access to the necessary resources without the limits of going to a physical location at a specified time to get their work done. We are also implementing a virtual waiting room for service departments around campus using a product called QLIS. And thank you, Ken Ferreira, for figuring out the product and discovering it for us. Instead of students lining up with their friends in spaces such as HR, SFS, and IT, where social distancing is nearly impossible, they will be able to scan a QR code, open a link in Raven Nation, and that will allow them to put themselves into the virtual queue by typing their name and phone number. The software then builds the queue based on a first-come, first-served basis. The service department will then call back the student if necessary and invite them to a Zoom or face-to-face meeting. Departments that have already signed on are SFS, HR, Finance, Career Services, the CAE, and of course, IT. If you're interested in setting this up for your department, just contact me and we'll get your department added to that list. Well, with all this new virtual and streaming technology and anticipation of increased demand, we've also been working on improving our networks and connectivity around the Franklin Pierce campuses. None of the above technology is usable unless we have the ability to connect to it. The improvements include all new access points in the Granite Residence Hall, enhanced wireless in Petrocelli and the Student Center, and the doubling of our internet bandwidth here in Rindge from 2 gigabits to 4 gigabits. In the late spring, the Goodyear campus received a much-needed overhaul of their entire wireless system, and we have also performed wireless upgrades and increased the internet bandwidth at Manchester and Lebanon campuses. Lastly, I wanted to give special thanks to the senior leadership team for understanding the importance of allocating the resources necessary for these projects. I'd also like to thank the entire IT team who worked tirelessly over the summer to get these systems in place for the fall semester. Without this support and hard work, we would have been behind the 8 ball as we start this semester, but instead, we're ahead of the game. We probably will have a few hiccups in the first few weeks, but I'm personally very excited as the students return and we'll be able to get to see this new technology put into use. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to ask Andrew to come up, Andrew Pullum.
Hello, everyone. When I started here last year, if someone would have told me my end of my first year would have been under a pandemic condition, I would not have believed them in the least bit, and yet here we are. We have spent, numerous members of our working group, faculty and staff, have spent a lot of time over the summer in developing protocols and precautionary measures to help reduce our likelihood of exposure or transmission to COVID-19 within our community. It has been a necessary and important undertaking, and I know there's been lots of communication that has been sent out to faculty, staff, and students about what those expectations are, a website set up. But I wanted to comment briefly on the three primary stages of where we've kind of built our foundation for this. The first is in our ability to test. All of our students that are coming in, starting to arrive in less than 48 hours at this point, will be tested coming in. All of our early arrival students have been tested. Everyone currently is COVID-free, I'm happy to report. And that will be an ongoing process for us throughout the semester. Our students and our faculty and staff will be contacted for testing randomly through the semester to be able to track where we're at in our safety levels. Mask wearing is a critical aspect of this, and we're asking our students to do something that they've never had to do. We are really asking them to experience their Franklin Pierce experience through a new lens. For our new students coming in, I think they're going to be prepared and they understand and they certainly get what we're asking of them. I think our returning students get what we're asking of them as well. But I will say that in talking with our student leaders that have come back early for training, it is a very different feel for them. And so we are going to be working in student affairs really to continue to remind and enforce that policy. There's a no tolerance policy with this with our students. And the way that we're really having the conversation with our students about it is, this is an issue of safety, not just for our immediate community, but also for our families and anyone else that we may have exposure with once we leave campus. And so far, the students have been understanding of that. We'll see once they get here how they fall into a new routine. The other thing that's going to be critical for us is our constant screening and our ability, if we identify someone who is tested positive or believed to be tested positive because of an exposure, our ability to quarantine and isolate them within our community. We have 85 beds established on campus for quarantine and isolation, and we have numerous protocols that have been reviewed at this point by the Governor's Office, the Department of Health and Human Services, all through guidance coming from the CDC. And so we feel very, very good about where we stand with our chances of going through the semester into November. We're in a really unique position in New Hampshire. In comparison to other states, we've had about a 4 to 5% infection rate, which has been a benefit for us. It also puts us at a unique position with students coming back. When the state of New Hampshire welcomes back 50,000 students from around the country to our college campuses, we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. I was a part of the governor's task force with other New Hampshire institutions, and I can tell you collectively that we have committed across the state to these efforts, and I'm really pleased with everything that we've put in place here. I would make myself wildly available for any of you in answering questions, clarifying points. I know that there's been lots of information that's gone out. We continue to share information. I'm recording a video at 1 o'clock for our returning students. We have emails going out for those coming back in. And so I think what our students will really look for from you all is, one, an example. We are all asked to do the same things. And so they'll look to you for that guidance to see that we're doing everything that we're asking them to do and that we've told them we will be doing. So that'll be first and foremost. Secondly, I think they're going to look to you for some energy. One of the things, and Kim, President Mooney commented on this, that's different this year coming in, we're not welcoming our students back in the same way, our new students in or our returners back. And so they're really going to be looking for us to be energetic and welcoming when we have our interactions with them. And that's going to be critical to establishing the tone within your classrooms and within your offices. And the last thing I think is they're going to ask for accountability. This is going to be perhaps the largest point of concern, and I know many of us have had those thoughts. How will students fall in line with our expectations? Will they align with what we're asking them to do? I have full faith that they will. I also have full faith that there will be some students that we'll have to help along the way. And we will do that, and we will hold them accountable. There's not a lot of leeway, again, with the options of that we've put forward, because it is about the safety of our community and each of us. And so I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be welcoming our students back in 2 short days. But it's going to be an interesting first couple of weeks as we help them get into a routine with the expectations that are there. So if you have any challenges or issues that arise, please feel free to reach out to the Dean of Student Affairs office, and we will do everything we can to support you in that process. So thank you for that. It is my pleasure now to introduce our Director of Athletics, Rachel Burleson.
Thanks, Dr. Mooney, for having me speak today. Though Franklin Pierce has changed a lot since March, it's been truly amazing to see Raven Nation strengthen together so that we could be here today, welcoming students and getting geared up for what we know will be an amazing year. It's been enlightening to see our community rally around each other and, in a lot of ways, compete. The need for interaction, the need to work together, the need to strengthen in numbers, teamwork, our ability to overcome adversity, and our need to work hard and improve every day to get where we want to be. The strength within us all to do powerful things. This is who we are, Raven Nation, and like no time before, we've come together stronger and better. We have embraced it, and we have excelled. In May, I, along with 11 other individuals, both inside and outside of athletics, began a long process of developing a return-to-play plan. This plan outlines the health and safety measures to return safely to competition. It is laid out in 3 phases, the first 2 of which are 14 days each. This plan also accounts for the use of outdoor facilities as much as possible, sanitation, athletic training, strength and conditioning, and the way we use all of our facilities. It can be found on the Ravens return page. However, on July 16th, the Northeast 10 Conference President's Council, of which Dr. Mooney is the chair of, made the difficult decision to postpone all competition through December 31st of this year. This decision was made for the health and safety of all of the league's conferences and campuses. It also allows us for meaningful competition for our fall and winter sports throughout the spring semester. So though this was a tough really for our coaches and student athletes to hear, it was also hit hard to the families and to our campus community. The good news is we still are preparing for what looks like a strong, engaging, and robust fall semester. Our student athletes will be training throughout the semester, preparing for what looks like a crazy spring of competition when all 24 of our sports will be competing at once and winning. So while everyone is cheering on the Ravens this spring, that does allow us to fully engage and interact with our students in the fall like never before. We get to return to our roots, the reason we got into higher education, make meaningful impacts on our students. We now have this opportunity to slow life down, and without the pressure of competition or overwhelming our students, we can get to know them on a deeper level. We also get weekends back. Students will be on campus for the most part for this weekend on weekends, and so this allows us to really engage them in times that we haven't had to in the past. We get the opportunity this fall to step outside of our normal day-to-day and truly make a lasting impression on the future. So I'm excited to announce that we have a creation of a fun committee within the department, and we'll focus on creating an experience for all students during the fall semester. We'll work to keep the competitive spirit alive, which is in the DNA of the Ravens, while also giving athletes, coaches, and students the ability to interact outside of their sport programs, their circles, their majors, or whatever else that circle would be. We look to have a series of events, activities, hobbies, teaching moments throughout the semester to provide an engagement for students at Franklin Pierce. Our events will be inclusive of all students on campus. We've broken these events up into 3 categories: competition, big events, and hobby and education activities. We're also fully committed to continuing our focus on community service efforts throughout the year. Community service, giving back to our local community, has been fully embraced by student athletes. Over the last 3 years, we have averaged over 2,800 hours annually and over 100 unique local organizations. We feel confident that we can still make significant impact locally and on our campus in a safe and healthy way. I know these last few months have been filled with uncertainty. However, I'm here today to assure you Raven Nation will succeed. The institutions that build and strengthen relationships this year will be the institutions that flourish in the years to come. We are one of those institutions. Go Ravens.